Hey everybody, Brian here from TouringPlans.com. Today we are talking all about Hollywood Studios and how to plan for that park once Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opens August 29th. I'm doing this small intro here without my map because, as you will see, I did a very bad job of aiming the camera at myself. You can see the whole map, you just can only see me to about here or so. And because I didn't notice until after I had uploaded it to the computer and I had already thrown the poor map away, I can't really reshoot it without reprinting and all that stuff. So the important thing is the map and the words coming out of my mouth, not so much my forehead. Here we go. Map time. Today we are going to talk all about Hollywood Studios, specifically Hollywood Studios with Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, which opens August 29th. So it's coming up pretty fast. We know a little bit more about the schedule, fast passes, things like that, and all of that is what I will be talking about. In case you're wondering, new style map. These are the maps now that we are putting up on TouringPlans.com. So if you make a touring plan, put in the attractions, little numbers will pop up on a map that looks just like this. The maps on the site do not come with wet little kitty footprints unless you also print it out and your cat walks through the sink and then onto your map. Okay, so a lot to go over here. I'm gonna try to go quick. If you have any questions, if I don't explain something well enough, please let me know in the comments below. I can always do an addendum video or just explain it in the comments. So one of the things we know is what the schedule will be like in the fall. Starting August 29th, when Galaxy's Edge opens, Disney's Hollywood Studios at Disney World will open at 6 a.m. to all guests on August 29th, 30th, and 31st. All guests welcome 6 a.m. After that, starting September 1st, there will be an extra magic hour, a 3-hour magic hour in the morning from 6 to 9 a.m. Now, the extra magic hour, the 6 to 9 a.m. part, is only for Disney hotel guests. You have to be staying in one of the Disney hotels on Disney World property. The extra magic hour is also available to guests of the hotels near Disney Springs. If you are not sure if you get it, definitely you want to ask the hotel. If you are on Disney property, you probably do though. Starting at 9 a.m., all guests are welcome. So if you are not staying at a Disney hotel, you cannot come into the park until 9 a.m. That will run starting September 1st all the way through November 2nd. So all of September, all of October, the park will open at 6 a.m. to hotel guests, 9 a.m. to everyone else. One thing we do not know yet is how they are going to handle these openings. Obviously, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge will be open. Now, as I am filming this, only Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run right there will be open. The other ride, Rise of the Resistance, this big guy right there, will not open with the rest of the park. There are rumors that possibly the day I'm filming this, they will announce when that opening day is. If that has happened, you will be seeing it right here. So with these early openings, especially with the extra magic hours, we know Galaxy's Edge will be open for guests, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. What I'm not sure of is if the rest of the park will be open. I'm wondering, for staffing and operational reasons, if they won't stagger the park a little bit. Say, Galaxy's Edge opens at 6 a.m., Toy Story Land opens at 7 a.m., the rest of the park opens at 8 a.m., something like that. If that's the case, obviously that will make Smuggler's Run very busy for that first hour. I wouldn't be surprised if it was maybe Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story open that first hour and everything else an hour later, but we simply do not know how that's going to work right now. For most of this, I'm going to assume that the whole park is opening at 6 a.m. All right, one other thing we know is that FastPass Plus is changing here at Hollywood Studios. Starting August 29th, a date that is forever burned in my memory now, they are adjusting the tiers for FastPass. So, a top tier FastPass, I'll call it tier 1 for this exercise, you are only allowed to pick one FastPass in advance. Tier 2 FastPasses, the second tier down, you are allowed to pick your other 2 from that tier. You could also pick all 3 from that tier, although most people wouldn't, especially in this case, because now, starting August 29th, The tier 1 attractions in Hollywood Studios are Slinky Dog Dash, Alien Swirling Saucers, Toy Story Mania, Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror. That's right, all of those. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run will not have FastPass available when it opens, which is probably good. It will make the line move more smoothly. And that line moves pretty fast. So you may have noticed I have only missed one ride. That is Star Tours. That's right, Star Tours is a tier 2 attraction. And that's it for rides. No other rides in the park. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway right there will not be opening until spring of 2020. When it does, I'm sure that will go tier 1, but presumably they will readjust by then, I hope. What that means is you have to choose from those other 5 rides. Tier 2, you can get Star Tours, and then there are shows. Indiana Jones, Frozen Sing-Along, Beauty and the Beast, things like that. Fantasmic is in tier 2 down there. But it definitely makes the fast passes trickier. I will give a fast pass plan, but first I want to finish explaining the changes and the things that we know for sure. This is the last one, and it is about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge up there. What we know is that there will not be a reservation system like they used at Disneyland, and that is about all they have said. The way they are doing it now at Disneyland, now that the reservation period has ended, is that if it's not too busy, anyone can go in. As soon as it gets busy, you can sign up for a boarding group, basically a virtual line. You can either do it via the Disneyland app, or they have machines that you can go and put yourself in a boarding group. Then when the boarding group is called, basically you get a push notification on your phone, or you have to check, I think, you are allowed to then go. The reason I don't know a lot about how it works is because they've only used it one day so far, the first day that it was available to all guests. Because it has worked pretty well, we think that they might end up using that boarding group system for Galaxy's Edge here at Hollywood Studios. My guess is that they will end up using it a lot more than they have at Disneyland, but that's okay as long as it continues to work reasonably well. Now, what that will mean is that you will have to enter the park. The first couple hundred or however many people they are letting into the land that are in the park will go straight back into the land and get to enjoy the land. Once they reach a peak capacity, they will turn on the virtual line system. You will sign up, but you still have to be in the park to do that. If you want to go to Galaxy's Edge first thing, it will be imperative to get there early. For those first 3 days, when it is open at 6 a.m. to everyone, my guess is that you will need to be there about 2 hours early, and yes, that is 4 o'clock in the morning, if you want to be one of the first ones into that land, especially the first day. Once it gets into the extra magic hours, 1 hour is probably going to be sufficient, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see how it goes. That's still 5 a.m. we're talking. So you're going to have to be an early riser if you want to get in there first thing. Good news is, if they do the reservation system especially, but even if they don't, I imagine towards the end of the day, it will be easier to get into the land. And you know, it's beautiful at night, so you're not losing anything there. If you are not early risers, or you can't get into that extra magic hour, you might actually be better off coming in the afternoon, trying to score a couple fast passes for the afternoon, come later, try to get in at night. See what happens. Now, that's something we will have to monitor, because if they're using the boarding groups virtual line, it's possible all boarding groups will be filled within the first couple hours. If that starts to happen, you're still going to have to get there reasonably early to sign up for a boarding group. But I don't think that will happen other than maybe the first few days. If you are coming in, say, mid-September, October, I think you can come late and basically just walk into the land. So, okay, back to those fast passes now, because now it's time to start talking planning. After August 29th, there will be 7 rides in the park. Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Rise of the Resistance? Probably not. The 3 Toy Story Land attractions. Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster down there, and then Star Tours all the way over there. So out of those 7 rides, you can't get one for Millennium Falcon, and you have to pick only one of 5 of the others. Star Tours is the only poor one that stayed on tier 2. Of those 5, our FastPass recommendations stay basically the same, and that is, if you want to ride Slinky Dog Dash, that should be the first try for a FastPass. It will be the hardest one to get still, most likely, but that is the one you should try for. After that, I would say maybe Toy Story Mania and then a Rock and Roller Coaster. Good news is that this should free up some room on Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster, as those had previously been tier 2 attractions and now are not. So presumably fewer people will pick those two, making the standby line maybe move a little bit better. For tier 2, obviously you're going to pick Star Tours if you're riding that. Problem is, so is everyone else. So that might end up being a harder FastPass to get than it is right now. And then I wouldn't pick anything else actually on tier 2. I would only pre-select 2 FastPasses, one in tier 1 and then Star Tours. Fantasmic is interesting. The problem with Fantasmic is that it happens in the evening, which means that you can never get another FastPass. If you only choose 2, let's say you'd get lucky, you get Slinky Dog Dash and Star Tours. As soon as I use that Slinky Dog Dash one, I can pick another tier 1 FastPass. Well, maybe then I can get Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror. Maybe I can get lucky, get Toy Story Mania. Then after I use that one, I can get another one. That's when I would start looking. Once it gets past 1 in the afternoon or so, that's when I would start maybe looking at this Fantasmic down here and see if you can grab that. Fast passes for shows are just not that much of an advantage. In some cases, they give you a slightly better seat, but the seats aren't that much different. And for some of the shows, the seats you get for FastPass aren't that much better. They tend to be, they'll be off to the side a little bit, where you're better off just arriving another 15 minutes early and getting a more central seat. Most of the shows here, things like Beauty and the Beast, Indiana Jones, even Frozen Sing-Along, in most cases, you only have to be there 15 minutes early. I've walked into the Frozen Sing-Along basically as they're shutting the doors and gotten a perfectly fine seat. So I would just go with 2 FastPasses for this and then just try to nab those extra ones. Obviously, if you're going to do that, you want this Slinky Dog Dash one to be as early in the day as possible. That would have been my recommendation anyway. I would say if you can get like a 9 a.m. FastPass for Slinky Dog Dash, I think that's good. And then Star Tours, I would say maybe late morning. So you could do a 10, maybe 11 might be better. So now a specific plan. If you are going to be in Hollywood Studios August 29, 30, 31, obviously everyone is going to Galaxy's Edge. If you are willing to get there at 4 a.m. and wait for it, you are going to Galaxy's Edge first too. What you will do first, well, it kind of depends. If you want to build a custom lightsaber from Savi's workshop, which is right there on this map, you want to do that first. That gets very busy and times for the day will start filling up very, very quickly. If you want to visit Oga's Cantina, which is right there, you might want to do that early in the morning. Again, the way they've been doing it at Disneyland is basically a reservation system. You go over, they tell you what time to return, and then you wait to get in, still probably 20-30 minutes to get in after your return time. But those go quickly, so you might want to go and at least grab a return time. And then if it's a little ways from now, then maybe you can do Smuggler's Run. If you are not interested in either of those 2 things, absolutely go to Smuggler's Run first. If you are interested in those, but really, really want to get in that Millennium Falcon, which I understand completely, you absolutely can, but just understand the Oga's Cantina reservations might be fairly far in the day or gone. Savi's Workshop might be totally gone. Of course, Savi's Workshop, those lightsabers do cost $215, including tax. So, yeah. And after that, those first 3 days, you're basically just making your way through the park as normal, which is probably Toy Story Land, then Sunset Boulevard, then back over here towards Star Tours, then shows. That will be the plan that basically everyone's doing. It will not help Toy Story Land crowds that the exit from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, you can see here, is right into Toy Story Land. We are assuming right now that this will be the entrance on Grand Avenue and this will be the exit up here in Toy Story Land, but it's possible that will be reversed. I don't think so, because there's nowhere to line up in Toy Story Land for people waiting to get into the land. There is some space down here in Grand Avenue that they could use. Personally, for all of you going, I hope it is this one, because I think this is a better walkway in. This is through the Resistance Forest, and then you get into the marketplace in here. It's a better view to see it than coming in the back way there, but that might just be me thinking that. If you are there those first 3 days and you absolutely cannot get to the park earlier than 6, I would say avoid Galaxy's Edge. Maybe go to Toy Story Land first, do some other stuff, either see if they're using the virtual system that you can get a boarding pass for later, or go somewhere else. Go back to the hotel, take a rest, take a swim, come back at, say, 6 o'clock at night, and then see what it looks like. You might have to hang out in the park a little bit. You might have to wait in a little bit of a line, but you might be able to get in later in the day. No guarantees on that whatsoever. It could be an absolute madhouse on those first couple days. After that, it gets a little bit easier because then we get into those extra magic hours, which are only for hotel guests. So therefore the crowd will already naturally be a little bit smaller. If you want to do Galaxy's Edge first during that extra magic hour from 6 to 9, anytime in September or October, I would still recommend getting to the entrance by 5 a.m. I know. Same rules still apply though. If you want to come later in the day, that's fine, but it will start getting busy by 6. It's just kind of how this stuff works. I'm sorry. I don't mind getting up early, so for me it's not a big deal. I know I'm weird like that. I also don't mind talking to myself on camera for what will probably be 20 or 25 minutes and pointing at a map. So I've already established I'm kind of weird like that. After that, it's the same rules. Galaxy's Edge first, same things first, then into Toy Story Land, then down into Sunset Boulevard and Rock and Roller Coaster Tower of Terror, then come around to Star Tours. Now Star Tours is a little bit weirder here because normally it doesn't get that busy until later in the day. Once people start having to wait out here on Grand Avenue or get the boarding pass to come back later, they might just go into Star Tours because, hey, it's still Star Wars, right? So it's possible that that will see a little bit earlier crowds. If that does start happening, then obviously you will want to do that right after Toy Story Land. I would still do Toy Story Land first. I think if you come back down this way and do Star Tours and then come around to Toy Story Land, I think you're just going to be met by a lot of people coming out of Galaxy's Edge this way and going straight into this line for Slinky Dog Dash. Now, if you are waiting and not necessarily doing Galaxy's Edge first, or if you cannot use that extra magic hour and aren't showing up until 9, obviously you don't want to go there first. You probably won't even be able to. If you're showing up at 9, I would definitely check, see if there is a virtual line of some sort that you can jump in as soon as you cross these gates into the park. Otherwise, you are doing the same plan that you would do now, which is Toy Story Land first. It's probably going to be real busy though, so if you can't get fast passes for that, for anything in there, you might want to head out down Sunset and enjoy some probably very reasonable wait times on Rock and Roller Coaster and Tower of Terror, and then either try Toy Story Land in the afternoon, in the evening, when maybe everything just starts calming down a little bit. As you can tell with all of this, I'm not as confident on everything here as we would normally be. There are a lot of factors here. We don't know how busy it's going to be. We don't know if Toy Story Land will be the exit and therefore get bigger crowds. Don't know if Star Tours is going to get bigger crowds. I am pretty confident that Tower and Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster down here will not be too bad, at least relative to the rest of the stuff in the park. But as always, the earlier you get there, the better off you are. Your family will not like getting up at 4 a.m. to get to the park at 5 a.m., but they will like not having to spend all day standing on Grand Avenue waiting to get into Galaxy's Edge, and then waiting 2 hours for Slinky Dog Dash after that. So maybe, you know, tell them to suck it up and they can nap later. That's usually what I do. Doesn't go over well. All right, well, that is it. As I said, any questions in the comments. And you know what? You can make your own touring plan on this beautiful map like this. Yes, I made the map. That's why I'm so fond of it. And you can do all that on TouringPlans.com. Subscribing to Touring Plans will get you all sorts of stuff, and anything we find out from now on will go all into the algorithm. So when you put your touring plan in, day before you go, re-optimize that baby, and it will tell you exactly everything we know, what order to do things in, and you will be good as gold. So do that. Watch all of our videos. Subscribe to the channel. I didn't even tell you to subscribe to the channel. Oh, you probably didn't now. Oh, it's probably no, it's not too late? Oh, good. Thank you. So do that. And then be excellent to each other.